So the great British dish, toad in the hole, dates back to 18th century, normally be eaten by poorer families, and the reason that it would be made with the batter is just really to make the meal go further, so make the meat part go further. The toad in the hole link is something to do with, it looks like little toads peeking out of something. Don't know exactly with that, but so today we're going to make my special version. I'm just going to take it up a level by making my own sausages, which are going to have crazy good flavour, and you know, so hopefully this one is something special. We're taking a basic meal and just upping the level a little bit. So for the sausages, I'm using pork shoulder. What I've done, I've just cubed this up into sort of like 1-inch cubes, nothing too big, because I'm using this attachment on the mixer. It just goes on the KitchenAid, which is a perfect little thing because you can do your mincing and then you can make the sausages on, and they're not very expensive. So what I've done is this has been in the freezer for about half an hour, and it just firms it up, makes it a lot easier to mince. And I've also added crushed ice in there because when you're making things like sausages, you want to keep the temperature down. You're going to get a little bit of heat generated when it comes through, and it's you know, it's a hygiene thing. You know, you don't want any bad bacteria and things. So, but it's not complicated. Add a little bit of ice, keeps it cool. And also, you're also adding water into the sausage, which is quite important with sausages. Just get a small water content. So when you're choosing your joint of meat, try and get quite a fatty joint. So if you go to your butchers, ask them for something with a bit of fat on it. You're looking for maybe 30% fat, ideally, which is going to give you the best sausage. So I've set the machine at a sort of a medium speed. It's number 4, which seems to be about right for using the mincer. And we're just going to feed it in. Takes a little bit just to get it started. It's actually quite a good bit of kit. You could go and buy an expensive mincer or a standalone mincer, but the thing is with these things, you can get all sorts of attachments for them, so they're ideal. So you can see when it's coming out, you get a nice mix of the fat, and the fat is a lot of the flavour as well. It's adding to the texture and the flavour of the sausage. And just keep making sure that you're getting some of the ice going in there. It just adds water into, you know, throughout the mix of the mince. So that's all nicely minced. And the next thing is to add the ingredients to the sausage. So what we're adding to this sausage, mustard seeds. About a teaspoon of mustard seeds, oops. So I've got a kilo of pork there. So if you're doing a different weight, then you go with different ratios. About, again, a teaspoon of paprika, teaspoon of pepper. Black pepper is my preference, but you could use white. Some people like white sausage in it, white pepper in the sausage. Half a teaspoon of ground cumin, can be a little bit powerful, so not too much of that. Teaspoon of salt. Salt is going to help us bring out the flavour as usual. And then I've got around about a tablespoon of dark brown sugar. And maple syrup, round about a tablespoon. And then the whiskey, I'm using a Jura single malt Scotch whiskey. And I'd say around about 2 tablespoons. Don't worry if you go a little bit more, it's fine, it tastes good. And then we're just going to mix this into the mince. You could use the mixer for this, but it's quite quick to do. It's also, as it goes through the machine again to make the sausages, it's going to get that extra sort of mix. Because what you want this is the meat to start to come together, because you don't want it to separate. When it's in the sausage, you want it to start to sort of to combine together. So that's perfect. Now we'll get it through the machine and make the sausages. That's the fun bit. So I'm using a natural hog casing, which you can get online dead easy. I think it's a 32mm, which is a fattish sort of sausage, which I think is right for toasting the whole. So I've loaded them on the machine, start the machine up. We'll go a little bit slow to start with, till you get going. But what you want to do is actually let the mincemeat push the skin off the machine. Because then you know it's sort of filling the casing enough. So as it feeds through, it's more or less going to push the casing off the machine, and it's up to you really just to keep a control of the thickness, because it could really force out and expand the casing to the maximum, but you want to just leave that little bit of room in the casing, because at the end of this we're going to twist them all into the individual sausages. Takes a little while with this, you know, if you've got a dedicated sausage stuffer, it will be quicker, but when you're only making sausages now and then, these are brilliant. I mean, obviously, if you've got a friend, get the friend to feed it in and you do this end, but it's not. Once you get the hang of it, it's not too bad. If I can do it, you'll be fine. Right, okay, that's done. So we just pulled through a good amount there, and we'll cut that off. So next thing to do is what I'll tend to do is start in the middle, somewhere in the middle. And if you just pinch the sausage there, and then again, and then that gives you a bit of space, a bit of slack in the casing just to twist it. And then again, work your way out the way. And then we're going to rotate the other way, 3 turns. Pinch, and then rotate backwards. This way that they don't unwind themselves as you're doing it. And then pinch and forward. And backwards, was it backwards? I think it was backwards. And then there, more or less a little bit bigger. And on the very end, what we can do is just tie this off. Try and get try and get the knot as close to the end as possible. That'll do. And we'll just cut that off. And then the other end, and I can't remember which way I wound backwards, didn't I? So this one will be forward, so pinch, about 3 turns forward. backwards. And a slightly small sausage on this end, but there's nothing wrong with a small sausage, I tell you, there isn't. And tie that off. Cut that. That's our sausages. How amazing is that? So now I'll make the batter, which is basically a Yorkshire pudding batter. So I've got 140 grams of plain flour, 175 ml of milk, 2 eggs, and just a little bit of salt. You don't have to go with the salt if you don't want, but it's just going to help with the flavour really. And then we're just going to whisk this till it's nice and smooth. You don't want any lumps in this. Do nicely. That just needs to go into the fridge for at least half an hour. Longer is better. It's just it helps with the batter if it's sort of kept for half an hour, or you could even make it the night before. That would be absolutely fine. So first thing is to fry the sausages. I'm using a little bit of vegetable oil. It just seems to help with the natural casings. So I'm going to use 5 in this. So I'm actually going to cook this in this pan. It saves on washing up, but it works really well. So that's just my sausages nicely browned. They don't have to be cooked right through because they're going to go into the oven. Next we're going to add, I use beef dripping. You could just use vegetable oil, but beef dripping would be the traditional way, I think. So when the fat's really hot, we're going to add the batter. Just try and keep it around the sausages, don't go over them if you can help it. And just try and get an even sort of amount. I don't quite need all of that actually in this pan. That's enough. And then that's going to go in the oven for around about 30 minutes at 200 degrees. Right, so that's had 25 minutes. As you can see, it looks perfect, I think. So the last touch is a little sprinkle of salt and just a little bit of thyme, just to fancy it up a bit for the table. Pleased with that. Probably the best one I've done actually. It just looks spot on. So what we'll do is we'll serve that with the old favourite, the onion gravy, which works a treat. So hope you enjoy it. Hope you enjoy making it, especially the sausages. These sausages, I've done these a few times. Beautiful sausages, sweetness, the whiskey flavour comes through. So, you know, you've got your nice crispness of your batter there. And my favourite bit is probably this little chewy bit in the bottom. Along with this nice snap of the sausages. Beautiful dish this is. So if you like this video, just let me know below. Hit the like button. And remember, subscribe, because we've got lots of videos coming out. Nice ones for the winter and obviously Christmas. And if there's anything you want to know, just comment below and I'll reply. Right, let's taste this. extremely good. That's probably the best sausage I've made. Perfect. So I hope you have a go at making this yourself, and I know you'll enjoy it, because how could you not? So we'll see you next time, guys. Have fun with this one.